What's up, guys? It is Thursday, January 16th, 2024. We're at the Bitcoin block height of 879,557. TikTok, next block. Guys, I know I sound like a broken record when I'm doing these videos, but I got to say it. Look at the fees, guys, in the mempool, on the base layer. 2 sats per VByte for no priority, 3 sats per VByte, low, medium, high priority. Hey, you guys can't beat that. Let's go ahead and check out my socials. Go ahead and subscribe to me or follow me on Rumble. I make some interesting political videos over there. Then we got my X, obviously, and then you can follow me over on Noster. And then, of course, the Bitcoin Amigos. You guys got to check us out over there. It's me, Chris from Fractal Bitcoin, and Jor for the score, King Jor 88 Sats Radio. And we have a very interesting Friday video coming out tomorrow, live, where we're going to be king for the day, or kings for the day. You can see the 3 kings here. So make sure you guys tune in for that at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. And then also you can check out our music out at the Bitcoin Amigos on Wave Lake, Spotify, wherever you listen to videos. And make sure, please, guys, subscribe to Fractal Bitcoin. Chris never misses over there. And King Jor for the score, 88 Sats Radio. Both of them, those guys are doing a great job. All right, let's get on into these numbers. So as you can see, Bitcoin is doing pretty good today. The price is doing pretty good. I get a little angry about it, but hey, we're just at 100,000, 99,999. Pretty good. And as you can see with the Dixie here, it's went down a little bit. It's at $108.95. And the reason I'm doing this, guys, because this is what we get paid in, and this is unfortunately the currency that we're using right now, unfortunately. But it is what it is, guys. So Bitcoin is doing great, 99,000, 100,000 exactly, and we'll see what happens throughout the rest of this week and this weekend. And this right here is coinglass.com merge Bitcoin USD. Basically, this is the order books right here. So right here, these are all the exchanges right here that own Bitcoin. This is the price. This is the quantity. This is the quantity of Bitcoin they have for that price, and then the total Bitcoin they have total. And as you can see, it's moving all the time, and you can see the prices going up and down because, again, this is a finite supply, guys. And there's only 45, according to this chart. There's only 45, 50, 60. It goes back and forth because people are buying and selling and stuff of Bitcoin at these prices. And as you go lower, the prices go lower. As you can see, there's less Bitcoin for that price. So again, the price for that I would sell at is very, very high. It's going to be off the chart. Now, hopefully the price that you would sell for will be off the charts too. And again, hodl your Bitcoin, don't sell it. Not financial advice, but again, these fiat currency cuck bucks are nothing in comparison to Bitcoin. So let's check out Clark Moody Bitcoin, the dashboard over here. And as you can see, the price is 100,000 like we looked at before, and we're getting about 1,000 Satoshis for every dollar. We're just under 2 trillion market cap, which we'll get into in a little bit. And we're a little off from the all-time high, 108,280. We're down almost 8% from that. The all-time date was December 17, 2024. But here's an interesting one that I love to look at. As a former precious metal stacker, guys, this is probably my favorite metric to look at, gold, right? Right now, as of today, it takes 37 ounces of gold to get 1 Bitcoin. Okay, when I first started stacking, it was a much less than that. You can get a lot more Bitcoin for your gold. But as this keeps going, man, Bitcoin is walking gold down, as you'll see with the next chart. But again, Bitcoin versus gold market cap, and I'll show you that again in the next chart, is 10.5%. Well, I'm about to show that chart now, so we got a bright light, guys, so dim your phones. And as you can see, gold is 18.29 trillion, and Bitcoin is at 1.976 trillion. So again, it's the 7th spot in 6 years. That's pretty good, guys. That's pretty good. And again, it's going to be surpassing Amazon this year, I believe. Amazon, Alphabet. I think it'll end up being right between gold and Apple at the number 2 spot. I believe closer to gold by 2025. I believe that, but we'll see. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody's a future teller. But again, in 16 years, being the 7th spot is absolutely amazing. One of my other favorite websites is bitcoinsperperson.com. Now, the reason why I show you the gold and stuff like that, because a lot of people are gold stackers and they think gold is the hardest money in the world. And it's not, because again, this is your fair share of Bitcoin right here. 200 or Satoshis, 244,757. Do you know how many ounces of gold there are, by the way? No. Do you know how many were mined today? No. Do you know how much stockpile of gold we have? No. Do you know what's in the ground, in our solar system, in the water, in caverns? Nobody knows, right? But this right here is a fixed supply of 19.8 million Bitcoin. That's it, guys. Out of all these people, almost 8.1 billion people. And again, to get that fair share right here, it only going to cost you $236 today. And again, I always tell people to get to a million Satoshis, and a million Satoshis today will cost you $1,000 in cut bucks. That's it, guys. So again, like the great Satoshi Nakamoto says, it might make sense just to get some in case it catches on. If enough people think the same way, that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And obviously, adoption is getting bigger and bigger, like as we'll talk about later on in this video. All right, let's look at the Bitcoin distribution chart. The balances of BTC, meaning how many Satoshis there are right here on the left. Then you got the addresses, how many addresses of how many coins are each wallet. You got the percentages of all total addresses. You got the total number of Bitcoin right here, what it's worth in USD, and then the percentage of Bitcoin total, right? And guys, you got to look at this chart and see where you're at, man, and just keep trying to level up and keep trying to get higher and higher. Because again, this is a finite piece of the pie. When I look at this, I always look at where I'm at, and I'm like, man, how can I go to the next level? And it's getting harder and harder, guys, because again, as far as the fiat dollar goes, the fiat is worth a lot less than Bitcoin is. So again, as the months, years, cycles, and decades go on, it's going to get a lot harder. So bottom line is make sure you get your fair share. Make sure you keep trying to level up, stack as many Satoshis as you can on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and make sure you have more than what you started with. All right, this is from River. This is another Bitcoin ownership distribution. This is just showing you in a little graphic here. This is the most important one, guy. This gold one right here. This is the individuals. We got just under 15 million Bitcoin at 70% out of the 21 million right here. And these big boys, the governments, which we'll get into a little later, the funds, the ETFs, the big boys will get into, obviously the businesses will get into, and then other entities right here that are going to be getting into it too, more and more. Satoshi Nakamoto's is in between 968 to about 1.1 million. I believe there's way more Bitcoins lost than this is estimating. And again, now we have less than this to be mined left, because this is as of December 2024. So right here is the main thing right here. This is us. And the only way these guys can get Bitcoin is through us. So we got to make sure we learn as much by studying, earn as many Satoshis as you can, and study as hard as you can. And that way you have those diamond hands so you can hodl. All right, guys, let's look at timechainstats.com. Again, I can make an entire, literally an hour video on this. This is the dashboard section of it. We got the Bitcoin hash rate just going crazy right now. It's 786 exahash. That's fast, guys. That's fast. So we got a lot of different tabs here. We got the network. You can check that out. The mining, what's going on in the overall market, different kind of charts right here, all kind of charts. They got different resources that you can go to check that out. And then they do a comparison between the stocks and the Bitcoin. This is one of the most comprehensive Bitcoin websites out there, in my personal opinion. So go ahead and check out timechainstats.com. And trust me, you will not be disappointed. Here we have timechaincalendar.com. So look at this like a big clock. You got the Epoch 5 right here, the subsidy, how many Bitcoins are in each block, how many were mined, percentages of mined out of the 21 million. You got the percentage of supply right here, blocks to halving with this orange line. The red line is block to difficulty adjustment. We're at 1,435 more until they change the difficulty adjustment over here. Again, you got the price, you got the sats per thing. You got a lot of stuff on here. It's just a real quick, good one to just look at and see what's going on with Bitcoin. Guys, the reason I'm making these videos, Bitcoin numbers and news, because literally this is what I do every single morning. I get up and look at these things. So I'm just bringing you guys along with me so I can see what's going on for the day. And hopefully you guys enjoy these videos. But yeah, here's the fee rates right here, the mempool, what's unconfirmed, block production, difficulty. It's just incredible, man. Incredible. When you look at this open system that you can see everything, can you imagine seeing the gold miners and what they have and what they got going on, and the Fed, how much they're printing and everything else? We don't know, man. We don't know. So again, this is an open source system. It's a finite system. And in my personal opinion, it's the best system and the system of the future. All right, guys, we got a bright light. All right, we got the fear and greed index. As you can see, people are a little greedy today. We're at 75. Yesterday, we're at 70. Yeah, again, my personal opinion, I'm not smash buying today. As the price goes up, I just do my dollar cost averaging every hour on the hour, which I'll get into later. But yeah, when it's green, that means more people are buying and the price is going up. And I just keep buying my hourly buys. But when it goes over here to the yellow, orange, and red, that means, the prices are dipping and everybody's scared because, again, it's the fear and greed. This is when they're greedy. This is when they're fearful. So, again, when they're fearful, you buy. When they're greedy, you do what you want. Not financial advice, but my rules of thumb are red means buy, green means stop buying, smash buying. So that's my personal opinion, not financial advice. You do what you want. But again, the fear and greed index is going higher and higher. Do you think it's going to go higher or lower when Donald Trump gets in office? I'm not a mathematician here, guys. All right, so let's check out coinmarketcap.com. We're looking at all the, well, not all of them, but some of these crappy coins underneath Bitcoin. Obviously, this is a list of all the cryptocurrencies, I call them, that are out here. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. And I call them projects, schemes, scams, whatever. And guys, look, man, at the end of the day, if you're coming here to my channel for the first time and you're into any of these, Ethereum, all this other stuff, XRP, listen, this is all I'm going to tell you. There's a reason why Bitcoin is always number one. And there's a reason why Bitcoin, out of all the coins out there, they own 58% of the market share, right? So you take Bitcoin and take all the 30, 40, however thousand there are cryptos, and Bitcoin has more than half of the money in it, and the energy or the fiat currency. So why is that? Bitcoin is the future, and the rest of these are kind of like projects. So again, if you're in any cryptocurrencies, I'm not telling you what to do. What I'm advising you to do, because I actually came in buying cryptocurrencies as well. If I were you, I would consider selling those cryptos, put them all into Bitcoin, learn everything you can about Bitcoin over the next few months, and then decide if you want to go back into the cryptos. Maybe have 1 to 3 or 5% of your quote unquote crypto portfolio in the other ones, and the rest of the 95 to 97% put it into Bitcoin. That's what I would do because, again, like the great Michael Saylor says, there is no second best. And speaking of other cryptos, we got Coinbase right here. They hold a lot of different cryptos. They're a business; they can do what they want. But I don't personally use any of these uh, exchanges. These are all the exchanges, the major exchanges that hold Bitcoin and other cryptos. Again, I'm not knocking them or nothing like that, but there's a reason why there's Bitcoin only companies out there. But as you can see, some of these companies are hemorrhaging Bitcoin. Binance lost almost 2,000 Bitcoin yesterday, or in the last 24 hours. In the total, they almost lost 100 Bitcoin out of these top 19 exchanges. So they're down. And if you take a look at this chart right here, this yellow line right here is the Bitcoin price, and then the green is the balance. Now, again, I apologize for all you veterans out here that know all this stuff, but there are some new people that come here, so I got to pretend like there's one or two new people that come here don't understand any of this stuff. And plus, it's just good practice to know this. But as the price goes up, guys, the yellow line here, as you can see, we're almost at 100,000 or right at 100K. The Bitcoin on the exchange balances goes down right here in the green, and it's going down, down, down. And right now we're at 2.19 million. And again, as this price goes up, we're actually 2.2 million. And do you think if the United States sells some Bitcoin off and then they start buying more again, and I'll get into that story a little bit later, what do you think is going to happen to the price, and what do you think is going to happen to the balances on the exchanges, guys? Come on. Again, man, I'm not a mathematician, but I also ain't no dummy. And speaking of exchanges and Coinbase just came out with a product that you guys might be interested in or take a look at. And again, I'm not going to use it, but this is something I think in the future that's going to happen a lot. Take a look. So Coinbase has Bitcoin backed loans now available. And again, I wouldn't advise that, but if you don't want to sell your Bitcoin right now, there's a lot of companies out there, but I'm just letting you know, giving you the news and the numbers that they have that available. So that's an option. So that's pretty cool. So speaking of Bitcoin only exchanges, I have 3 of them here for you. So that not only you can get some really, really low fees, but you also can earn yourself some free Satoshis. This one here is Bitcoin Well. As you can see, this is a well. This right here is like a well. You can get some free tosses in there. I think if you put $100 in there, if you load up $100 into your account, I believe you get 5 free tosses in the well, which will earn you some free Satoshi. So that's pretty cool. So you can use my link. It's a 1% fee. So when you're buying Bitcoin with Bitcoin Well, not only are you going to support a Bitcoin only company and get free Bitcoin and get the lowest fees, but Bitcoin Well, they're one of their biggest features is that they don't keep the Bitcoin. As soon as you buy it, they send it off to a Lightning wallet. Now you don't want to put it in your cold storage because again, the UTXOs will be crazy and the management will be outrageous. But yeah, you want to check out Bitcoin Well and get you some free Satoshis. Then my second favorite is Swan Force. If you use my link or this QR code, not only will you get $10 of free Bitcoin, but the fees are really low too. They're also 1%. But for the first 10,000 of purchases, there are no fees at all. So make sure you guys use that link. And then to me, the Mac Daddy is Strike. This is Jack Mahler's company. I absolutely love Strike. They're also Bitcoin only company. They have a 0.99% fee. But if you use my link, not only will you get $100 of free Bitcoin trading, so your first $100 of free, you can also get free DCAing, dollar cost averaging of your Bitcoin. So say, for instance, you want to buy every single week. Well, after that first 7 days, let's say you bought $10, the next 7 days, and after that, if you keep the DCA going, there's no fees going forward. So this is the cheapest way to buy Bitcoin. So what you'll be doing signing up with these three companies is number one is you'll be getting some free Satoshis and getting the best way to buy Bitcoin. That's number 1 and 2. But number 3, you'll be supporting this channel. And number 4, you'll be supporting the Bitcoin ecosystem. So guys, make sure you use only Bitcoin only companies and make sure you get yourself some free Satoshis so you can start stacking for your generational wealth. All right, guys, dim your phones. We got a bright light. All right, so we're going to take a look at MicroStrategy. Obviously, the number 1 company in the world as far as Bitcoin holdings at 450,000 Bitcoin. Yeah, man. Again, to put it in perspective, and I'll show you this a little later, they have more than double of the leading country in the world as far as Bitcoin. The United States of America just has under 200,000, and they have 2.5 times that, guys. Again, Michael Saylor is an absolute Chad, and he's absolutely killing this stuff, man. He is killing it. But you got all these companies down here leading. These are all the leading companies in the world as far as Bitcoin holdings. You got Marathon Digital. You got at 17,000. You got Riot Platforms. Marathon Digital has almost 45,000. And Tesla has about 10,000 too. Coinbase is an exchange. You got a lot of exchanges out here and stuff like that. So yeah, Semler Scientific. This is a good one here. They own 2,321. Again, for a small company like that, that's really really good. So that's really really impressive. So yeah, those are the leading companies in the world as far as holding Bitcoin. And again, in the future, this list is going to keep growing and growing. And this is why we got to front run these companies, man, to make sure we can even be richer than these companies by stacking these Satoshis. All right, let's see what the ETFs are doing. Let's see what they did yesterday. So BlackRock bought 318 Bitcoin, which is pretty impressive. Fidelity bought 4,600 Bitcoins. Grayscale bought 503 Bitcoin or Bitcoins. ARC21 bought 1384, Bitwise 327, Grayscale Mini. This is the spinoff of Grayscale with the lower fees. 137, VanEck 169, Invesco 57, Franklin Templeton 56, for a total of over 7,500 Bitcoin yesterday. Guys, I'm not a mathematician here, but we only mine 450 a day. How many days of mining is that these ETFs just took off the market in one day? You do the math, man. 450 times 10, that's 4,050. So, 20 days, 19, 18 days, I don't know. This is insane, man. What's going on here? So now they have a total of 1,140,988 Bitcoins total out of the 21 million supply. Again, guys, this is insane. This is insane. So let's take a look at the overview of these ETFs. This is the breakdown of their fees. As you can see, BlackRock is 0.25. They hold on Coinbase. If I had to do a ETF, I would definitely pick Fidelity because the fee is low and also they do self-custody. I would really consider that because all these other ones are on Coinbase. And again, Coinbase is a honeypot, in my opinion, and it's just, something I wouldn't deal with, me personally. And then you got the ETS Bitcoin holding since inception, since January 10th. And as you see, as you go up, as you move over to the right, IBIT keeps increasing, which I'll show you in another animation. And you got the color code and everything else, which I love. And then this right here is an incredible animation. It shows you exactly what everybody did in the beginning as of January 10th, 2024, when the gold rush started. As you can see, Grayscale up here has a 619,000 Bitcoin, but as you'll soon see, they're going to start hemorrhaging. And this guy right here, IBIT, is going to catch them really, really quick. So let's take a look at that. Look at that, man. Look at the dates. Look at the accumulation of Bitcoin, how many they got. Because again, Grayscale is falling off. Can you imagine if they kept their fees? Can you imagine they lowered their fees and kept their Bitcoin? My Lord. You talking about a supply crunch? Look at IBIT up here, man. Killing it. absolutely killing it. So this is even a couple of days old, guys. This is as of January 13th, and you know today's the 16th. So once this gets updated, it's going to be crazy. All right, the flows is still as of January 13th. That hasn't been updated yet. And this right here is a chart of the daily flows right here. The yellows going this way up is going up. This is how much they bought, and this is when they sold off. But again, as you can see, just like Bitcoin's chart, it's going up and to the right. There's going to be up and down days, even with the ETS. But again, it's just going up and to the right. They own in total over 1 million Bitcoin. And you think that's going to slow down? Absolutely not. And here's the holding chart. You can see this right here in the green, the orange for MicroStrategy, even though they're not an ETF, they're still up there. ETS miners, listed companies, Tether. It's incredible, man. Look at this, man. When you think about this finite asset, it's just crazy, man. All right, guys. As a reminder, I'm Jerry Loves Freedom. This is my YouTube channel. If you want to help support the channel, please hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't yet. A lot of people aren't subscribed. I appreciate you watching, but please subscribe. It really helps the channel. And also hit the like button, comment, share, and all that other stuff. And then if you really want to help, you guys can zap some sats. That'll really, really help. And I really, really appreciate all the support you guys give me. All right, so let's get into the adoption news here. And I pulled this off of Google. This is the Bitcoin adoption rate chart. Bitcoin adoption has been tracked through various metrics, including the number of unique addresses holding at least $1 worth of Bitcoin and the number of active addresses. Here's an overview of Bitcoin's adoption rate based on these metrics. So this is 2021. Bitcoin adoption peaked with over 41 million addresses holding at least $1 worth of Bitcoin. This was a significant milestone in the cryptocurrency's growth. Active addresses. The number of active Bitcoin addresses has stabilized around 1 million since reaching a peak. These active addresses represent a small percentage of the total Bitcoin addresses holding at least $1 worth of Bitcoin. Now, as of 2024, the year 2024 is pivotal for Bitcoin adoption due to the upcoming halving event, which already happened, and the potential SEC approvals of Bitcoin ETFs, which already happened, which could boost adoption and drive the Bitcoin price upwards, which already happened. Future projections. Analysts predict that Bitcoin adoption will continue to grow, which is happening now, with some suggestion that by 2030, half of the world's population could be using Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. I want to stop right there. That is 5 years from now, right? What's the adoption right now? Where we at? 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%? Nobody knows. But half the population in 5 years, again, this is the definition of gradually then suddenly. All right. So this is why I'm telling you, we are so early and you are so ahead of the game. You guys don't even understand. All right, guys, we got a bright light. In more adoption news, Thailand considers allowing Bitcoin ETFs in the country. That's big news. Thailand SEC plans to allow Bitcoin ETFs in the country, citing they need to move along with the global adoption of Bitcoin. I mean, guys, you know, Thailand is set to become a major, I can read it. This is off Bitcoin News. You guys can go ahead and check that out. But again, this is just adoption, and every single day, man, it's just more. There's more and more countries with the governments and the companies and more millionaires and billionaires. Guys, it's never ending. We got some more adoption news here, guys, from Bitcoin News on X. We just provided some information for a nation state asking about Bitcoin ETFs. Considering moving some exposure from foreign currency government bonds into BTC. Bitcoin is entering a new chapter, says Bitwise CEO Hunter Horsley. If you have bonds right now, guys, the reason why you have bonds is for what? You keep it for your purchasing power. You can get maybe some dividends or whatever, and the government just borrows your money and does a lot of bad things with it, right? If I was in a position of somebody that had bonds, I'd sell them all for Bitcoin. I mean, a lot of companies and countries and individuals are going to be doing this. They're going to see when they're looking at when they're looking at all their competitors and their friends and family members that don't have bonds and they traded in for Bitcoin, and they could see the absolute crushing of these bonds in comparison to Bitcoin. Everybody's going to do it. It's just a no-brainer. All right, guys, we got a bright light. All right, from the New York Times, a first day Trump order a federal stockpile of Bitcoin. The cryptocurrency industry has pushed President-elect Donald Trump to establish one, creating real political momentum behind the plan. I love that flag. Love it. On the eve of Mr. Trump's inauguration, the cryptocurrency industry is pushing his incoming administration to execute an audacious plan that would have seemed unimaginable just a year ago. A government program to buy and hold billions of dollars of Bitcoin. This is something we already know. To me, right here, this is the most important part of the article. The profits from a Bitcoin stockpile would help chip away at the 36 trillion national debt. Proponents of the plan have argued and ensure U.S. economic dominance if the global economy someday runs on cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin. Wow. Yeah. And again, as you can see, we know it's 36 trillion. That's huge, man. That's huge. And I say that to you at the end of all these BNN videos. There's only one way we're going to pay off this debt. It's not cutting spending. It's not borrowing more. It's not printing more money. The only way to pay off this insane debt is through Bitcoin. Here's another article: policy proposal for Trump's Bitcoin stockpile leaks. The biggest way the world is going to adopt Bitcoin is through America. I believe we're going to be the leaders of that. I really do. And Trump's policies and the government stockpiling Bitcoin and doing what they have to do. Again, El Salvador is great. I love El Salvador. I love what Nayib Bukele's doing. But again, we're talking about the United States of America. We're the #1 economy in the world. And when Donald Trump talks, again, people listen. All right, guys, we got a bright light. Here's Kalshi, the betting market. And what it's saying is, will Trump create a national Bitcoin reserve this year? According to the betting market, it's right at about 71% that he will, that the government will buy Bitcoin as a national reserve, as a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So again, the markets are saying yes. Trump pretty much already said it. So again, guys, I would be buying as many Satoshis as I could and humanly possible before the inauguration and before we start stockpiling this Bitcoin. This video right here is from yesterday, Yahoo Finance, the BitGo CEO talking about Trump buying Bitcoin and the stockpile and everything. So let's take a look at this.
Bitcoin currently trading over $98,000 following this morning's CPI print, which comes amid a positive correlation between Bitcoin and stocks in recent months. It's one of the themes that Yahoo Finance has been focusing on this week. We want to bring in Mike Belshi. He's BitGo's CEO. And Mike, when you take a look at the price action, the volatility surrounding Bitcoin, questions about what it's going to take in order to sustain that momentum and movement here above the $100,000 threshold, what do you think?
Well, everything is aligned to do well. The markets move when they move. I know people get excited about, hey, it's going to hit under here, it's going to take off there. I think we're extremely well positioned given the regulatory changes, given the adoption that's been going on. So I wish I could give you an exact date when everything kind of is unimpeded to go forward. But in general, the industry is anticipating that this is going to be a good time for Bitcoin.
Well, one of the things that the industry is anticipating is more favorability among some of the incoming regime that's been selected. And specifically, as we think about the SEC chair position, outgoing CEO, or outgoing SEC chair, I should say, Gary Gensler, spoke to Yahoo Finance about his time in the position. And he also offered some words of caution for crypto investors. I want to play this clip and get your reaction on the other side.
You need fundamentals ultimately. Momentum can only carry you so far. And so I think for any investor listening, you really want to think through this. You have to question, what is their true use case? What is their value proposition?
Gary Gensler is such a snake. There's not a lot of people on the planet that know Bitcoin better than Gary Gensler. You know what I mean? He's still saying this dumb stuff, man. It's just, these people are reptiles, man.
So how do you anticipate that things will shift under Paul Atkins?
Well, look, okay, for one, Gary Gensler has, for some reason, decided to take a war against crypto. I don't know if you saw the case, the Coinbase case where the judge came out yesterday, day before yesterday, I guess now, scathing in the SEC's handling of that case, clearly holding back the industry for no good reason. Mr. Gensler wants to talk about use cases. Bitcoin is the strongest use case. It's a store of value. Unlike any other, it's a monetary system, which is frankly a hedge against the dollar because, the government here has had a really hard time containing costs. And while we're all optimistic that the new administration may be able to really severely, trim its spending with the Doge efforts, I think it's an exciting time for sure. It's unclear if they can really bring the machine into a taming mode where they can bring the spending materially down. And Bitcoin is a monetary system where it's a fixed supply, so you just don't have to worry about somebody deciding to spend the money, create a bunch of extra supply that wasn't anticipated.
I love that. I'm very excited about Doge. I know this is Fiat talking about, but again, we have to buy Bitcoin with Fiat. I am so looking forward to see what Elon Musk and Vivek does. I'm going to have a special segment on that once Trump gets in office, hopefully, God willing. Because the less we spend on nonsense and BS, that's more extra money we can have for Bitcoin. That's how I look at it.
I guess how much of the optimism, just from your view, for the incoming Trump administration, what we're expecting on a regulatory front, what we're expecting just in terms of Bitcoin strategic reserve and some of those other ideas that have been floated from the incoming administration, how much of that has been priced in, at least in the short term? And if not, what kind of growth could that potentially unlock here for the sector?
Well, we've had 4 years of unprecedented anger against our industry from regulators that have not been acting like regulators. So what's a regulator do? A regulator has a list of rules which are set up based on a set of legislation, and they're supposed to evenly handle those regulations against all types of potential licensees.
They're not acting like regulators; they're acting like dictators.
And they're supposed to say, did you do A? Did you do B? Did you do C? And oh, you need to work a little bit more on C, and let's help you figure that out. And the regulatory system hasn't been doing that. And it's not just the SEC, it's the OCC, it's the FDIC. And this is now documented and very clear. So that's 4 years of pent-up demand for an asset class, which of course, just a year ago had the hottest ETF, the Bitcoin ETF, in the history of ETFs, demonstrating that there is massive demand institutionally for these types of products. We're going to continue to see that globally as well. Now what gets to happen is all these businesses come in, they can start to build quickly and easily. They can get the regulatory licenses that they need. And in spite of what some of the naysayers say about crypto, actually this is some of the best law enforcement that we have of any asset class, because it is on a blockchain, because there is more digital capabilities. So this is going to be the safest asset classes that we have. And now we're unimpeded. We can move forward.
Mike, when we think about the strategic Bitcoin reserve, that's certainly gotten a lot of the discussion on the campaign trail. And now it's going to kind of turn into a show me story here for many of the holders out there. I mean, I certainly didn't have Scottie Pippen tweeting about this strategic Bitcoin reserve on my 2025 bingo card. I didn't have Satoshi Nakamoto visiting him in a dream in my 2024 bingo card either. But all these things considered, it's now going to have to come to fruition at the end of the day. How do you see this taking shape?
Well, I disagree that it has to come to fruition. I know there's some excitement about it, but I think actually, if there's one guy that doesn't need a Bitcoin strategic reserve, it's the U.S. Treasury. I mean, I'm a little bit counter on this one. Look, the benefit of being the world's reserve currency, and now I'm going to talk for the dollar here a second, is it's an incredibly strong and stable currency relative to other fiat currencies. It's not as good as Bitcoin in terms of retaining value over time, but relative to other fiats, it is.
Yeah, he's right. I know we don't like to hear that, but he's right. Again, in the United States, it's getting his ass kicked. Okay, we know that. Okay, the U.S. dollar. But if you go take a U.S. dollar to Canada, sorry, Jor, El Salvador, anywhere else, you're going to get your more purchase power. This is why I tell people, man, if you are a Bitcoiner in America, you have it made here, guys. You are so lucky to get 1,000 Satoshis for $1. Me and Jor talk about that. Look how much, and Canada's not too far behind us, but look how much any other country has to spend on their dollars to buy the same amount of 1,000 Satoshis that we have. So again, I know you guys don't like the fiat talk and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, the US dollar is the cleanest shirt and the dirtiest hamper. And if you are a US citizen, your dollar goes way farther than other people, and you are so blessed to get as many Satoshis you can for that dollar.
So who would want a strategic reserve? Actually, I don't think the US government needs one, because the US actually is the reserve currency and should focus on maintaining that capability. Other countries already have started using the dollar as a reserve years ago. El Salvador is one of them. Panama is one of them. They fixed their currency to the dollar because that was a better reserve for them. They should consider Bitcoin reserves and fix it to the Bitcoin instead of the dollar, because that would be a better reserve for them. So look, I think there's too much optimism about a Bitcoin reserve generally, but I don't think that's going to matter. And I completely disagree with the statement that we're somehow pegged to either we have a Bitcoin reserve or the Bitcoin price can't go up. I mean, I just don't see that.
So do you
completely agree with that. Now, again, if the United States of America, which again, we looked at the betting market, it's about 70% chance that it will, but the 30%, 25, whatever percent it doesn't happen, it doesn't mean Bitcoin is going to crash and we need it. You know what I mean? It's going to help a lot, but I completely 100% agree with what he's saying.
Do you think there is a downside risk if we don't see then the reserve that's been campaigned on and been talked about, and to some extent has been factored into the price action that we've seen to this point?
I completely disagree with him. These pundits and these journalists don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's not been priced in yet. Okay. If it was priced in, if the US government, Donald Trump's knowledge of Bitcoin, how much Bitcoin he has personally, what they're going to buy in the future, the 200,000 a year, which I think they're going to buy more, and then the flood of all the other countries buying, and then the companies and all that, if that was priced in, we'd be at $1 million right now. So I completely disagree with this idiot.
I don't think there's been any promises of a Bitcoin reserve. I think there's been people that don't really understand what reserves are getting excited about having Bitcoin as a reserve. But when you really think about it, what does that mean? Sure, I guess I'd love to have the government buy some of this scarce asset, but whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know. In terms of Bitcoin's ability to move forward, look, it's global adoption to some degree. Go back to what Gary Gensler just said, right? It's about having use cases that people want and continue to use. If that continues to happen, of course, it's unimpeded for the price action of Bitcoin on the go forward.
All right. It certainly seems like Trump has confirmed what those plans might look like, but we'll see exactly if this does come to be. Mike Belshe, thanks so much for taking the time here with us today. BitGo CEO.
Yeah, that was a really good interview. I completely agree with what he said. He was just so spot on. That journalist was an idiot. But again, he's a lamestream media guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But you notice more and more of the mainstream or the lamestream is talking about Bitcoin because they don't have no choice. They have to. It's here now. All right, this is also from Bitcoin News on X. This is big time. Senator Lummis, the Bitcoin senator, sends a letter to the U.S. Marshal Service asking why they plan to sell nearly 70,000 Bitcoin. The U.S. government cannot continue denying the value of Bitcoin and digital assets. It's costing taxpayers billions. And this is the letter right here. You can check this out on Bitcoin News. Absolutely love Cynthia Lummis. She's right. If we lose 70,000 to 90-something thousand Bitcoin, that's going to be horrendous. I actually wanted to play this clip from Matthew Crater from Bitcoin University. He actually talked about this. It's not just 70,000, it's more than that. And Matthew Crater breaks it down, and I want you guys to watch this real quick.
As we know, the United States has been hodling approximately 198,000 Bitcoin that they basically took from the Silk Road, and they also took from the hacker of the Bitfinex hack. Well, in a recent development happening yesterday, U.S. government says it's going to be returning the Bitcoin recovered from that 2016 Bitfinex hack in kind. So not just returning fiat, but returning approximately 94,000 Bitcoin back to the rightful owners. This is definitely the right thing to do. But after doing it, we can see here China has 190,000 Bitcoin. The United States will have far fewer Bitcoin than China does. So I think this makes it actually quite likely that we see even more buying for a strategic Bitcoin reserve under Trump. And we're getting hints of that in this article from Axios, What to Watch. Trump is going to be very focused on the price of Bitcoin. A top transition source told us it's another stock market for him. The source explained, adding that Trump would love for Bitcoin to hit $150,000 per coin early in his presidency. I think this is quite likely. Again, we have no way of knowing this, but I think the fact that we're now behind China is going to light a fire under Trump, and he's going to want to accumulate Bitcoin more quickly at the beginning than he otherwise would have. Basically, it's nice that this Bitcoin is being returned to the Bitfinex. On the other hand, this could just be another FU from the Biden administration, the outgoing Biden administration, to the incoming Trump administration. So I think it's very likely that Trump tries to reverse this, and buying back 90,000 Bitcoin, 94,000 Bitcoin is not at all a trivial amount. So I think we're going to continue to see price appreciation. But again, no one knows the near-term future in Bitcoin. The long-term future is Bitcoin's going to $5, $10, $20 million per coin and beyond. The path it takes to get there, no one knows, which is why we hodl. Don't exchange our Bitcoin for other assets. Don't try to time the market, and also don't trade in and out of Bitcoin. This is a way to really miss out on those very few days per year when Bitcoin does most of its movement.
Yep, couldn't agree more. Now, what's the likelihood of that? I don't know, honestly, that we're going to sell even more than Cynthia Lummis said, the 70,000. He said 90-something thousand Bitcoin, 94,000 Bitcoin. Again, I definitely think that's an FU from Biden to Trump. I believe that. And again, I kind of wanted to happen, like I said, because I want the rightful owners to have their Bitcoin. But at the same time, it's going to put us behind, again, because I'm America first. It's going to put us behind China. It's going to cost us more to get it. But hey, it wasn't ours in the first place. I hope it does happen, but we'll see. We'll see if it happens. It's going to be very interesting. The likelihood of it happening over the next 4 days, I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, guys, just as a reminder, this is why we Bitcoin. This is the national debt. Again, the only way we're going to stop that national debt is by using the best money in the world. That's it. We can't pay this off no other way. We can't do anything when it comes to the $107,000 per U.S. citizen that we owe for doing absolutely nothing. And in my personal opinion, it's evil. It's evil. And again, it's just evil. This system that we're in, it really is. I'm so thankful that I found Bitcoin. I really am. I'm really thankful for you guys tuning in. If you guys like this video, please share it to other people. I'm going to make these videos every day, Monday through Thursday, giving people the numbers, the news, so I can help them study and really understand Bitcoin. If you really want to get the full effect of this, and with me and the Bitcoin Amigos, with Chris and Jor, watch Jor in the morning. Every morning he does a live, then he cuts his videos up during the day. And then Chris from Fractal Bitcoin, he makes some great videos every single day. He goes live when the price goes up, but he's a very informative channel. And then you can get bored and go to sleep and watch me at night. But seriously, share our videos, help us out to make sure we get this Bitcoin adoption. Because that's what it's all about, guys. You guys see the national debt is crazy. And we see this inflation, and it's going to be absolutely insane. And again, guys, I always say this because it's true. There's only one way to stop this inflation in the future and pay off the debt. And I'm pretty sure you guys already know what it is. It's the best way to save. And for me, the only way to save. And that's Bitcoin. I love each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love, guys.